Hello and welcome. I am your Saturday Night, and this is your Saturday Night. All right, make sure everything here is working. So, I do have captions on and available. Should you need them, they are there. But welcome. I hope you like the intro music. That was a little bit of music by me. It's called Wob Wob. I do make my own electric music sometimes. Electronic music, not electric music. Well, it is electric. But yes, I do make my own electric music sometimes, and I also make all sorts of other stuff. So we're gonna have a bunch of fun. We're gonna get into it. We're doing some portrait painting tonight. As you can see, I already have my canvas up, and I did a little sketch work, some idea of what I'm going to start with and what I'm going to be doing. As always, we have our palette, and I'm going to get some paints on this. My palette is a bit of a mess. I was painting earlier today for my monthly workshop, and definitely check that out if you have the opportunity, because it's a whole lot of fun. We get into art. We get into learning about art. We do all sorts of interesting things. It's just a good time. It's just a good time. But it's an abstract art. I'm going to move on from that, though. Let's actually talk a little bit about a few different things today. Also, I hope my sound is okay. Do let me know in the chat, in the comments, how that is. If you can't hear me, it always helps to hear it from you. You know, we can't just assume. We're not going to assume that everyone can hear me. That's just a bad idea. We don't want to assume anything. But either way. So when it comes to portrait painting, this is something I just really enjoy doing. And I really enjoy being able to get into, to just dig my teeth into. Dig my teeth into. That's a weird way to say that. But, it works. It works. I will try to keep up with the chat as possible. But we're going to just jump right in. I have some ideas of where I'm going and what we're going to be doing. So, I already have the sketch here. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to be starting with the eyes here. I'm going to be starting with the eyes and a few other little details as we move along. I already have some brushes ready for those activities. But first things first, I really need to start getting some paint on here. So I'm going to be working with a mixture of yellow and white to start off with, and I'm going to be putting this little flat brush in here. I'm not going to really worry if I'm falling outside the lines right now. That's not as important as just really getting in and making sure that the whites are filled in. And the reason I'm starting with this kind of off-white, this kind of yellowish colored white, is I want to have a more natural look when it comes to the eyes. Eye coloration for the whites of the eyes can be difficult. So you have to really get in there and make some decisions early on. So if I put this yellow in there ahead of time, it's going to look better as we get further along. So I already have that there, but we're not really going to wait too long on some of this. I actually want to go ahead and just continue to put details in now. If we get these details in now, it's all going to look better in the end. So I have this color here, which is amber brown, and that's what I'm going to start to lay in for the eyes. Begin laying that right in for the eyes. Getting this in here. And I am going to be putting it right into where the pupil is eventually going to be placed, but that is... it's just going to make everything look more natural in the end. You want to have some of those colors already there as you build up. One of the primary reasons I want to start with the eyes and then work my way out is it's going to help me build a focal point in here. Just going to grab a slightly darker color really quick. I'm going to start to put in the underlid. Going to just use the same brush I just was. And we're just starting to build some natural shadow regions. And get those in here. Because there's going to be some areas in the eye where it's already darker. And then there's going to be a couple other areas where it's going to be much lighter. I'm just going to grab the smallest amount of vermilion here. And I'm actually going to work that into what is going to be the corner of the eye. The tear duct portion. And then move a little over there. You know, again, it's just building in some of these natural features now. While we're at it, I'm going to get a little bit on the water line on either side. Again, just trying to put some of these natural features of the eye in there early. It's not going to be overly symmetrical at first, but we are getting some of our necessary elements just dotted in there before we go too far. Now for the skin, I actually am going to be using a combination of, for this underlayer, of Bimini blue and white. So I'm making a little mix of that. Oop. I'll get a hair on there. These things happen. Sometimes you get little bits of hair or parts of your brush that start to come off. But there's a coolness to this, and that's kind of what I'm already trying to build in, is this coolness. This area of more, I won't say intense so much as there's a certain lighting style that I want here. So the best way to do that is actually just building in with this light blue. I want to get as much of this layered in early as possible. There's certain areas that we need to have really clearly defined. Now, my idea is going to be that there's going to be a lot of kind of whipping hair. I like that aesthetic of kind of having everything be overtaken by the hair and the shadows. This is an amber brown. And again, I'm just starting to build in some areas of shadow and variations in color. This is not going to be like a highly realistic piece. I'm going to focus in on some really kind of key visual aspects. And because of that, I want to start to block in a lot of variations in my color palette, a lot of variations in what we're doing. I'm sure for those of you who are already aware of a lot of my work, you already know I love painting. I love art. I love all of this. So I know that kind of like broke up that dark area I was creating with the eyebrow, but we're actually going to be doing the same thing on both sides. And most of what will be the visible face is going to end up with this kind of off-white color in regards to the face. And it's going to look a little odd for a while until we really get it built up, but it's all going to turn out okay in the end. All gonna be okay in the end. Every painting starts out, just with all these different choices and decisions that we have to make. And right now we're working through some of those choices and decisions. Now I have a vermilion. I'm actually going to start to put it down here. It's going to be really dark when I start out. But But just like some of our other pieces, this is about building everything in as is necessary. When it comes to portraiture, you want to really think ahead and think about where light is going to pick up and where you're going to get bright spots and a number of other kind of aspects like that. You want to give consideration to the folds and the shadows in the eye. Amongst many other things. So this is going to be a longer process as far as the creation goes, but it's all about creating our high points, our low points, really thinking about shadow, color, you can't take anything for granted when it comes to how light and shadow work. And that's one of the things I'm going to be attempting to do, is not take anything for granted. So you can see this already has a really kind of odd coloration, but that is a large amount of what's going to make it feel more real. That really intense, really mobile structure of face. And when it comes to our facial structure, there is a whole lot of mobility in it. So we need to capture some of those qualities as early as we can. Capture them and take advantage of them. Now, I'm going to be using a kind of dynamic lighting here. You're going to start to see how that's going to take shape as I continue onward. So for what would be behind the chin, and I'm really gonna go in on color and shape. I mean, I'm gonna go in. There's going to be some spots that I'll have to fix as I move along because we want everything to look as natural as possible. But this is abstract portraiture. And what's kind of important with abstract portraiture is that you remember it's not about the realism, it's about the feeling. So we are going straight to dynamic colors, dynamic lighting. We're not going to concern ourselves with realism. And that's going to be one of the really important features here. We do not want to get bogged down in realism. Hopefully you're already kind of seeing how that's going to benefit us. Avoiding realism. Avoiding the pitfalls of overthinking. Art, it is really easy to overthink things that you shouldn't. And we're going to steer clear from all of those aspects as soon on in with this as we possibly can. So I'm getting some super blocky framework in here still. This is not how this is going to stay. But at the moment, this is kind of what we're going to be working with. Building ourselves up to something bigger. That's clearly too sharp now, but with just a little bit of work, we can dull it down a great deal. These are kind of our fun areas. Not just fun, but really entertaining. So what we're doing right now is a type of alla prima painting. And that's a wet on wet. And that's what I'm using to kind of get these various blends here. As well as keep everything pretty smooth. It's not going to be done for a while, and there's some parts of it that are pretty messy right now. But it's nice, it's enjoyable, it's different. And that's, in and to itself, what we need, what we want. We want nice, we want different, we want fun. So now that I already have all this, we have a central point. I'm going to go ahead. Need to get into here a little bit. There are still a bunch of spots I'm going to have to fix. Just like in here. I don't like the way I ended up getting the nose. I did get the nose off kilter there a bit. Like, it doesn't look right. But that's why we go in and we fix afterwards. Well, that's what this kind of work is for. And I might not ever get it quite perfect, but what I will do is I'll end up getting it into a space where it looks right. And that is really what's important here. We don't have to make any of this perfect at any point in time. We just have to have fun doing it. Sometimes you got to get your finger in there. I need to get a few areas of this darker as I go along. Again, just improving the overall aesthetic here. There's going to be more to do as we move forward. One thing is actually going to be, I need to start building what's going to be some shadowing in here. Just a little bit. I'm going to hide a lot of this face behind hair and shadow and things like that. But I like the way that looks. Each step provides us with a kind of step up from where we were. And that's what I'm going to call the big win. Each time we can kind of jump upward, advance a little further, we're going to end up in a better spot. I still got a lot to do, but this is just going to be fun. So I'm going to take one of my 1.5 inch brushes, and I have this wonderful, lovely magenta. I'm going to double load that magenta with fuchsia. And I'm going to start to build more dynamic areas. And because I'm using a couple of different colors here on a double loaded brush, we're not going to end up with anything that's super static, but I'm also going ahead and not using it in a very traditional means. So I'm allowing things to kind of move in a number of directions, a number of different positions. Actually need more of my fuchsia. As we continue to build what's ultimately going to be a really, well, what I hope is going to be a really fun, dynamic piece. I'm still going ahead and trying to double load here. Doing this kind of work with a brush is going to really get an interesting final look. Now I'm actually mixing some phthalo blue in at the edges because I want to have some obscuring, but I also want to be able to start to build natural shadow, because I'm using that phthalo blue also in a number of other places. This is already building more of that dynamic quality. Going to change over to a 1-inch brush. Again, getting some of this fuchsia. And starting to layer it in. You know, and this just leans right into fantasy, which is something I love. I love fantasy. I love that kind of expression and quality. This is 40 minutes, and look at what you can do with just 40 minutes. And if you consider the fact that this is not a complete piece right now, this is a building into something more, you can start to see where we're going to go. Maybe not know where we're going to end up, but you can see where we're headed. At least a little bit. I'm going to take some of this yellow ochre. I'm actually going to just be getting some of that down here. Because when it comes to balance, you got to really be careful. We have such a dark top And though I'm probably going to make the whole thing pretty dark, I want to start balancing it already with this yellow ochre. And again, it's affecting everything. Like, everything here is affected by each little change, by each little addition. Oh. Hi, Lynette. Welcome. So at least with this, I was trying to capture, and let me make sure. There you go. So I was trying to kind of capture this vision, kind of looking upward. We have so many reasons not to look up, to seek something positive or good, and that is kind of what I'm portraying. So we have a very kind of brightly lit face. There's a lot more that I'm going to need to do here, but there's a lot of darkness surrounding, and in this darkness that's surrounding, we're still kind of escaping that. So this is more or less, it's optimism. This is optimism. This is hoping for a better tomorrow, better today. I mean, we can have both a better tomorrow and a better today, but that starts 100% with us. So that is my thinking here. That's my inspiration. We are moving towards some positivity, so towards a strong desire to put something good out and to seek something good. And that's our figure here. This is looking up, looking out, being open to possibilities. And that's a difficult thing sometimes, to be open to possibilities. I think we all struggle in our own way with that idea. And I think that if we are struggling with that idea, we need to remind ourselves of the qualities of life, of our own continued existence, that will bring us back to that thing that we hope for. It's not going to be the same for everyone. It's not going to, you can't give a one-size-fits-all for hope, for optimism. You can't give a one-size-fits-all for our lives and the trajectory they will take. But what you can do is continue to push forward, to continue to put something out into the world. And with that action, find something. Find something more. We all need to remember those little moments in life. Oh. So each progressive step with a piece of artwork such as this, there's going to be a point in time where it looks like you're going backward. Let me remind you that when it looks like you're going backward, you should probably keep going. looks like you are going backward, keep going. And with portrait painting, there's going to be a lot of points in time where you are not happy with what you just created. And that's okay. You don't have to be happy now. Because we are going to get there. And it is going to be okay. I would like to also say really quick, a lot of people think that hands are one of the more difficult things in art, and I'm not going to say they're not. My bane has always been the human nose. It's difficult. It's hard to grasp some of the structures. I have a nose. I should know what noses look like. And yet they're the part that I so often need more work on. So often I need more work on the nose. Start building a little reflection here. Our faces have so many interesting nooks and cavities and portions of it which just make me go, what is this for? Why is this here, and why is it so hard to grasp? Now, continuing forward though. I'm gonna have to really make sure that I do not get this wrong. Eyes are a funny feature of the face. The way they react with light. So they're sometimes not always the easiest place to figure out like where your shapes lie. But I do my best. Thank you very much. You know, it's all about patience. You know, you just have to continue to be patient, continue to work the best you can, and see where you end up. So the eyes are going to get a little bit darker for a minute as we start to add in more of what's going to be the whites. And it's impossible to make the whites of the eyes without going through several kinds of layers. So the first one was that kind of off yellow. Off yellow is the only way I can think of to describe that right now, and I think I can probably do better than off yellow, but now I did kind of adjust that one eye as I was going through, but I actually have some more adjustments to make because we want to make sure that our eyes end up reflective and properly lit. So just adding a little bit more light in there. Each little dot of light, each little prick of understanding improves where we're going. So yeah, those eyes just became really light, but that's now a lot more light reflected out at us. And since one eye is more obscured, it's going to be a little harder to see, but we're not there just yet. Not just yet. Really need every single tiny little detail to work together, to come together. Oh, I like the sounds sometimes that the paint tubes make. So I go, I need to open this up and get it mixed. What a cute little sound that was. So I'm mixing together a little bit of this lemon yellow, some apricot, tiny bit of blue. I need to start making some more adjustments. The lips were not quite right over there, so we're just adjusting those lips. Every adjustment is another step towards where you want to be. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be with your own creative process? Where do you want to be with your own vision? I know I'm just kind of throwing that out to the chat, and that's probably a little strange, but we need to actually think about these things in life. These are things that we seriously eventually have to think about. Maybe you've already thought about it, maybe you already have an answer, but if you don't have an answer, and you're not required to, maybe you should think about where you want to be with whatever you're making within your life. I love this vermilion. Oh, of course. Yes, exactly. Excuse me. Excuse me. I think if I had had to do that in my workshop today, I would have said excuse me a lot. Because I just have this feeling that my tubes were making a lot of noise. But yes, you have to make light of certain things because it's going to happen either way. You know, it's going to happen. Why not make it not so terrible? It's not a big deal. It's a little sound. It's a little poof. Just a little poof. I don't take myself very seriously sometimes. And I think that is to my benefit. Definitely to my benefit. I'd like to say thank you to everyone who has come through. If you didn't know, every Saturday I stream and I multi stream. So this is currently on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and LinkedIn. And you can find me all those fun places at least once a week. I'm drawing that eye in a little bit more because I need to redo the eyelid on that side. This is one of the fun things that I absolutely love about painting. If you get something and you do not like the way it looks, you go ahead and you just fix it. It took me 2 seconds to redo most of that eye. Just a couple seconds to redo an eye. To bring a little bit more balance to the final composition. Art gives us the incredible permission to make as many mistakes as we may have to. And my particular paintbrush I'm using right now does not want to cooperate. But we are going to get it to cooperate. Because there's some spots in here that I really want to get right. I already know that this particular painting, it's not going to be done today. I'm not going to really be unhappy about that. That's just the way things go. Now, start to get these eyebrows back in. Now, if you're doing hair, I'm going to highly recommend that you don't just use brush strokes. Try to do things like stipple, pat, drag, stuff like that. It looks better. That's my opinion, and I'm sticking to it. But if you have something else that works for you, you do that. I just like the way that looks. I think it has a better balance. All right. Oh my goodness. Hour in, I've already made so much progress here. There's a lot of different things going on. What I'm actually going to do, I have several ideas and I have to decide which one I'm doing. Alright. The multicolor hair is just something I like because I have this, I have the phthalo blue and I have the fuchsia and then I have a magenta all coming together to create the hair. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take another one of my flat brushes, I'm going to take one of these. I like these ones. These are really fun for doing hair. So this one I believe is just, it's a little more than an inch, even though it was packaged as an inch long brush, but I'm going to use this one because it has these very irregular bristles. Very irregular bristles. And I'm going to take some orange really quick. And I'm going to mix that with some of the magenta from earlier. I'm going to start to pull it through. Because I do not want my hair to be flat or single tone. This is going to add more to it, and it's also going to let me pull some more through here. Grab a little more of that phthalo blue here really quick. A little more orange. I love multi-tonal hair. It's just, it feels right to me. When I was younger, I used to dye my hair all sorts of colors. And I've just always thought it looked good. Oh, you're about to get some. Now, I am just going to take some of the darkness out of there really quick. We're not going to take it all out, but if I do this here, it'll have a better composition and a better framing. And I am all about better framing. Because it was just really dark, wasn't it? It was really dark. So now that we have all that variation, I'm going to commit a minor sin. Let me tell you what that sin is. It is black. Now, I'll explain exactly what I mean. When it comes to painting, you want to use as little black as possible. That is what I have learned the most from a number of different art teachers, a number of different sources and tutorials. But there's a time and a place for it. And if you use it the right way, it will ultimately be to your benefit. But you don't want to just slather it on. In fact, a lot of your shadows should never be black. Try to use a phthalo blue for a lot of your shadow. These are just my opinions and my experience. Never follow just what someone else says also. Just as a side note, just because someone says do something doesn't mean you have to. Like at this point in time though, I'm really happy with the overall visual aesthetic here. I'm liking where we're going. I can see the things I need to improve. I'm going to let this settle for just a moment. If I just keep mashing paint in here, it's not going to come out right. So I'm going to take this as a moment where I can talk to you about a couple of things. And it's really important that we make sure to cover some really important things. So first things first. There we go. Oh. Sometimes everything's working right and sometimes it's not. Alright, there we go. Alright, you're going to see a link that I've just added into the chat. Hopefully in a moment you'll see it. And that is for my website. And there's a number of reasons to go to my website, and the first one is going to be that is where my products, my art prints, my original artworks, my merch, all of that lives there. Or at least the majority of everything I do lives there. Not every piece of artwork I do is available all the time, but I have a bunch of different prints that are available right now. I have t-shirts, art bags, brush bags, pencil bags, a little sketchbook, and there's a bunch of shirts. There are some of my original artworks available right now, but if you've ever seen a video of me painting and you don't see that piece available somewhere, feel free to send me a message. I'm going to be fair. I'll be really happy to tell you whether or not it's available. You know, it might be. And if it is, and you're interested in it, just let me know. Like this piece here, it might not be done. I won't finish this today. This is going to take a few more hours till it's in a state that I consider done. But if you're ever interested in one of my art pieces, let me know. This one is not currently on the website, but it is available. So I'm just going to put this here for a moment. This is Nareen, and this is a piece that I did recently, and it is currently available. It's just not listed. So not everything that is available is listed, and not everything that is listed is necessarily going to be there, you know, next month. I paint fairly regularly, and I don't just paint fairly regularly. I also draw and a number of other different things. I'm going to call it a day for today because I have now been painting a lot. I painted for a few hours with my art workshop this morning, and now I'm on a little more than an hour painting here today. So I'm going to bid you all farewell. I'm going to wish you well. Thank you for those of you who've been here. Thank you for those of you who've been commenting. Thank you for your compliments. But I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to call it a day. And I'm going to wish you all well. Take care. Be excellent. I appreciate you for who you are. Maybe carry a little optimism and a little looking up and looking forward and letting that light shine down. Let some light shine down into your life. No matter where it comes from. Even if it's just a glimmer. Even if it's just a speck, a little tiny ray of light. Let that light come in. You'll be a lot happier afterwards. And thank you so much for being here. Take care. Be excellent. I am out for today. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye, everybody.